everybody. In this video, I'll be giving you a few tips on how to reference in your PowerPoint presentation, assuming that you're going to be using PowerPoint, but the rules can be applied to other styles of presentations as well as papers. So today we'll be looking at APA style guidelines. And here we are. So as far as the APA style guide goes, there's a couple things that you need to be thinking about. The first one is in-text citations, and the second one is your reference list. So in-text citations should appear throughout your paper, for example, but in this case should appear throughout your slideshow where relevant. And for APA, you follow something called the author date method. So we'll look at that in a minute. The second thing that you have to think about is your reference list at the very end. So you need to include one complete reference for each source, and all sources that are cited must appear in the reference list at the end of your presentation. I've put a link here for more information, and this is a really good resource that you can use, and it kind of breaks it down into different topics. You can search by whether you're citing an article or a website or whatever it is that you need to know. I'm sure you'll find it there. So I highly recommend you take a peek at that. So let's just have a look at a slide that I showed you earlier on in my presentation. You may have noticed this in-text citation in there. And in this case, because it was the safety code, the author is Health Canada, and the year this was published was 2008. So that's what it's going to look like on a slide or in a paper for that matter. The other thing I'll point out here is that I use quotations here because this was a direct cut and paste, the exact phrasing from the source. So it's really important to make sure that you indicate with quotations when you're directly copying something as opposed to just referencing it or paraphrasing it. You'll notice that I didn't do that for the second part here, and I probably should have because it was directly cut and paste the entire slide. This was the other slide where you saw me use an in-text citation. So again, you're noticing the same format, the author and then the year. And then finally at the end, I provided the full list of references. So I just want to point out a couple things here. This is the standard format that PowerPoint will give you when you create a new slide. So you'll notice it gives you bullets, but this is not the correct way to display a proper reference list in an academic assignment. So let's take a look at what those specific details are. So first of all, I've just removed the bullets. The second thing I wanted to point out is that you'll notice that the sources are listed by alphabetical order of last name. So they're not listed in the order that they appeared in your presentation. The other thing I wanted to point out is that one of the sources that I used was a journal, or from a journal, I should say, and the other two were websites. So the journal itself, you'll notice, is italicized. And I've added something here called the DOI, or the Digital Object Identifier. So that's just a quick link that you can go to access this source. And if one is available, you should include it. But you don't necessarily have to. Not all sources will have a DOI. And finally, I've added specific dates that I retrieved the sources from, just because these are websites. So web links might be unavailable at a later date, but this at least shows when it was last accessed. There's one more style feature that I wanted to discuss with you that you may or may not have noticed when taking a careful look at the reference list, and it's called a hanging indent. So what that means is that the first line is not indented like you normally would see on a paragraph, but the second line and any other line below that are. So in order to do that in PowerPoint, you actually have to go to the Home tab, click on Paragraph, and then you'll see a little arrow in the bottom corner, and you'll see Expand for more options, and then you'll get this box here that's showing on the slide. And what you'll do is you'll go to Indentation, and the standard indentation is about 1/2 inch or 1.25 centimeters. And then under Special, you're going to select Hanging. So that's what's highlighted in blue here, and then you'll hit OK. And then this is how your reference list is going to look. So as I mentioned, you'll notice the second line and below are indented for each reference. And this is the way you should be formatting an APA reference list if you're following the style guide properly. So now that you know a couple tips about how to get started on APA referencing, I wanted to just let you know about the different ways that you can generate citations, whether that be your in-text citation or your actual reference list at the end. So you can do this manually, which requires a lot of familiarization with the applicable style guides. And particularly if you're using APA or there's other types of formatting, you just want to make sure that you are familiar with at least the basics. But the second option is to use something called a citation generator. And nowadays there's all kinds of apps and programs that will do this for you. And some of them, in fact, will just do a web search to generate the info that you need, fill it in, and you click a button. But it is really important to at least have an idea of what the basics are before you just jump ahead and use an automated tool. So on the Purdue OWL website, you will see this Cite Your Source Automatically option, and you can basically select whether you're doing a website or a journal or other, and then just type in keywords, usually the title, it could be the URL of the website, and then it will start to populate a citation for you. And in a moment, we will take a look at what that looks like, just so you have an idea. I just wanted to show you my final reference slide here and just let you know that I added that one last reference that I used. So now my reference list for this aspect of the presentation is complete, and I hope this was helpful for you.